What's going on, everyone? You just watched an amazing video taken on the Canon R6 underwater. I looked on YouTube and there are not a lot of videos about using Canon mirrorless cameras underwater. So in this one, I'm going to go over the Canon R6. If you want to see the full version of what I shot underwater with the R6, head over to my YouTube channel and you will see a longer version there. So when it comes to taking photos or videos underwater, I could not be more pleased with the Canon R6. It absolutely is blowing my mind. So with that said, let's go over some really cool things about the Canon R6. On this camera, I've got the Canon 8-15 EF lens with an adapter and a 1.4 converter, and I'm using the Nauticam housing, and I've got a 50mm extension ring along with their 140 dome port. And this is such a great setup. All the video footage you've seen in this video and all the photos are all taken with this camera, with this lens, this exact same setup. Now, the next thing on this camera to note is the in-body image stabilization. Now, using that in conjunction with a lens that also has stabilization in it is going to do wonders for you underwater. And this is just so helpful for when you're shooting video underwater. You guys saw the clips at the beginning of this video. All of that is not stabilized in post. That is purely out of the camera, uncolor graded and unstabilized. The next thing this camera has is 12 frames per second. Now, when I look at my 1DX Mark II, one of my older cameras, I was just jonesing off the 14 frames per second on that camera. And this camera in mechanical mode has 12 frames per second, but when you're shooting in live preview mode, you can get up to 20 frames per second. And that is unbelievable, especially when you're shooting fast objects underwater. Maybe you're on the sardine run, maybe you're shooting sea lions, or maybe you're with dolphins. The next and most amazing feature of this camera, in my opinion, is going to be the autofocus system. As underwater photographers, focusing underwater is definitely one of the first hurdles when you get into underwater photography. And this camera has an amazing feature. It is called auto eye detection, and there's an algorithm in there for animals. These dolphins were in the Bahamas. They were moving incredibly fast, and all I had to do was put on my animal eye detection and try and keep up with these animals. The camera focused so incredibly well on the dolphin's eyes. I was so pleased. All I needed to worry about was my ISO, shutter, and aperture. I basically no longer need to worry about autofocus when I'm shooting underwater. All of these photos I took with autofocus animal eye detection, and I am just blown away with what this camera can do. The algorithm is spot on, and it makes taking photos underwater that much easier. Another thing about the autofocus system in the Canon R6 is obviously when you're shooting video, you can continue using your autofocus. Now, if you think back to 4 or 5 years ago when the Canon 1DX Mark II came out, that was really the first time we could have continuous autofocus in video mode. And now here we are a few years later, we've got the Canon R6. It's much more affordable, hence bringing that feature into more people's hands. So if you're looking to get into underwater photography, or if you're looking to upgrade your current system, this system cannot be beat. There is no other camera on the market besides the Canon R6 and Canon R5 that have this autofocus system, and that right there, I think, is the huge sell on this camera. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit more about the R6 and its use underwater. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help you guys out.